2 o'clock, so I'm going to get us started. Welcome, everyone, to Bugs, Bees, Butterflies, and Blossoms, a multi-decade EE program. My name is Sarah Coles, and I am the Executive Director of the Texas Children in Nature Network, and we are so excited to have you with us today. We are recording our session, so thank you for joining us. To save bandwidth and for all of our attendees to have a clean recording, we ask everyone to turn off your cameras and mute yourselves during the presentation. I will be monitoring the chat, so you can share your questions there. I'll be sure to share them with our presenter. And please remember to keep your comments kind. Jimena Vivanco is running tech for us today. Thank you, Jimena. And as I said, I'm recording the session. I will share it in a follow-up email. If you're uncomfortable with your name showing, you can change your name to anonymous and then private message Jimena with your name for our attendance. Also, if your Zoom name doesn't match the name you registered with, please change your name or let Jimena know. If you need a certificate and we do not have your name, we will not be able to provide a certificate. And just a reminder, if you are needing a certificate, you'll need to follow the directions in the email you got with this Zoom link. I'm going to go ahead and do our land acknowledgement. Texas Children in Nature Network is headquartered in Austin, and as such, I'm on the ancestral and unceded land of the Tonkawa, Comanche, and Sauna people. Our ongoing colonial presence on Indigenous lands compels us to take action now to counteract the effects of colonization. The work we do through the Texas Children in Nature Network is one small step towards that effort. And in just a moment, I'm going to put some links about land acknowledgements in those people groups in the chat. But first, I'd like to go ahead and welcome today's speaker. Kay Jenkins is with Stephen F. Austin University. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kay, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you. And just testing again, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So my name is Kay Jenkins, and I am the Environmental Educational Programs Coordinator for the SFA Gardens at Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches. And I've been in the position since February 2004, and I have been mentored by some great educators whom I will tell you about in the program. I'm also going to tell you about a collaborative youth educational event that we have hosted for over 25 years now. And I'm hoping you can take some ideas from this presentation and perhaps offer some similar events at your site. So SFA Gardens is located on the Stephen F. Austin State University campus. You can see our little star. We are in what's called Deep East Texas, pretty close to the Louisiana border. The Gardens is part of the academic structure of SFA, in that we are in the College of Forestry and Agriculture, and we're in the Department of Agriculture. However, most of our funding that supports the gardens, including the maintenance of the gardens and educational programs, comes from endowments, gifts, donations, memberships, and we also hold 2 plant sales each year that help fund us. So the SFA Gardens began in 1985 with a single quarter-acre teaching garden established by Dr. David Creech near the Agriculture Building. And this small garden served as a living classroom for SFA's horticulture students. Education, inspiration, conservation, and innovation are all foundations of the SFA Gardens mission. Dr. Creech has retired as a professor, but he is still serving as our director of the SFA Gardens. So today, the SFA Gardens includes 6 themed gardens on 138 acres on the university campus, and we're celebrating our 40th year anniversary this year. And it has always been a great setting for learning. And today, SFA faculty members in art, biology, education, environmental science, forestry, horticulture, kinesiology, they all hold classes or labs in the gardens. And we, the staff and volunteers and our partners at SFA Gardens, we host hundreds of elementary school students from the East Texas region for our educational events. So the Bugs, Bees, Butterflies, and Blossoms Festival is our oldest environmental educational program and is believed to be the longest running environmental ed program in East Texas. In its peak years, up to 2,000 children would experience the four to 5 day event each year. Now, times have changed, and now the festival is held on 2 days, and we bring in about 700 children to the event. So the idea for the event was born from a chance meeting of Dr. Alan Sowards and Cheryl Boyette in the SFA Mast Arboretum. That was our original garden, and it's about 10 acres. And Dr. Sowards was interested in finding a way for his students taking his science education course to be able to have hands-on, real-time experience teaching in the outdoors and conducting field investigations with children. And Dr. Boyette, who was a graduate student at the time, was interested in bringing more elementary school students to the Arboretum for meaningful learning experiences. They had been doing tours in the garden in the Mast Arboretum for a few years, and that was the extent of the youth education, but she wanted to bring in more engaging type activities. So she's an amazing graduate student and was also working for Keep Nacogdoches Beautiful at the time. And so she pursued the development of a curriculum-based programming for elementary students, as well as pre-service teacher training curriculum for the SFA elementary education majors. And she's pursued funding for an outdoor classroom pavilion to be located in the Mast Arboretum. So in March 1988, she got funding for the Timber Framers Guild of North America to raise a timber frame pavilion in what is now called the Children's Garden, Kingham Children's Garden, in only one day. And then shortly thereafter, this was in 1998, a 2-day educational event sponsored by Keep Nacogdoches Beautiful in collaboration with SFA was held at the pavilion. So after that, Cheryl and Dr. Sowards obtained an environmental education grant from International Paper in 1999 to help keep Nacogdoches Beautiful develop a partnership with this SFA to sponsor the event again. And this time it was named the Bugs, Bees, Butterflies, and Blossoms Festival. And SFA students from all sorts of majors presented 21 different hands-on activities to the school children and area families. And then in 2000, they got a Growing Minds project grant from Kellogg Foundation to continue the event. And then after that, it just continued. Dr. Sowards had a long career teaching science education at SFA, and he made sure that this event happened every year after that. In 2002, the SFA Gardens hired an environmental educational programs coordinator, and that was Elise Rodwald. And she continued to work with Dr. Sowards to host the Bugs, Bees, Butterflies, and Blossoms Festival every year until she retired in 2020, which happened to coincide with COVID. And so the program stopped for a couple of years. In the meantime, Dr. Sowards retired as a professor, and he came to work as a part-time environmental education coordinator for the gardens in 2023 and sorry, 2022. And so he brought back the BBB Festival in 2022. So the festival features four 30-minute long activities that are hosted by the SFA students who are majoring in education, and they take the science class in their last 2 years. It used to be their senior year. Starting this year, they can take it in either junior or senior year. So they take the class, and as part of that class requirement, they deliver an educational activity at the BBB event. And the course professor, formerly Dr. Sowers, currently Dr. Melissa Hewlings, they select the four activities that they want the students to host. And we rotate their activities each year so that if a student child comes as a kindergartner and they come again as a first or second grader, they're not seeing the same activities. It has been very fortunate that the two professors that have had Dr. Soward's job since he retired have continued to want to do this program. So we've been excited to keep collaborating with them on it. And it has been great experience for those SFA students. So most of the activities, not all of them, but Dr. Hewlings is the current professor. She likes project learning tree activities, and so often that's what she usually picks for the BBB guide, and for having those are the activities that she teaches or chooses for it. So as part of their training for the event, the pre-service teachers do participate in training in what is pretty much a project learning tree workshop provided by Ted Stevens, who is the PLT state coordinator for Texas, and he is also the education director of the Texas Forestry Association. So after completing the training, the pre-service teachers are certified to lead project learning tree activities in their future jobs as teachers. So this is usually a one-day training, and then we demonstrate how we would host the activities that the professor has chosen. So we demonstrate that, and then they come a second time for an all-day training where they learn more activities. So we they need to learn all four activities, even though each student only hosts one activity, they learn all four activities. So when we have live bugs as part of the festival, a part of the training is to get the education majors, the SFA students, comfortable holding bugs. And you can see in the top right picture, I'm leading a little group and they do not want to touch the bug. So I'm teaching them other ways they can put a bug on a child's hand without actually touching themselves if they want to. The Texas A&M Forest Service is also sends staff to help us with training the SFA students. And after a while, the students do get more comfortable and will actually hold the bugs usually. And as you can see in these pictures, we actually are able to get college students to sniff trees, flap their wings, and all sorts of things, because that's what they're going to have to try and encourage the children to do when they come. So as part of the requirement for their class, the SFA students do need to make a 5E lesson plan for each activity. And fortunately, it's very easy to do that with any of the our normal environmental education curriculum, like Project Learning Tree, Project Wild. Most of the curriculum are written in a way that making a 5E lesson plan is really easy. So if you're not familiar with that, it's a it's a mod. Well, it's a type of teaching method, and it starts with trying to engage the children. And usually you do that through questions, or you maybe show a little video, things like that. This is if you're in the classroom. Then you give them some sort of activity where they explore on their own and try and learn. You get them to come back, explain what they learned, and then you can give them more activities to elaborate on what they learned. And then eventually, at some point, you want to evaluate how well they learned it. Now, they can't always do all five of these E's in a 20 or 30-minute activity, but we really get them going through at least the first three, the engage, explore, and explain pieces. And then we can encourage the teacher to do a post-visit activity that will help elaborate on what they've learned and that sort of thing. So my role is the Environmental Educational Programs Coordinator at the SFA Gardens is that I prepare the flyer that goes out to the schools. I just sent it out yesterday, and I've already got teachers signing up for the BBBB festival. And interesting, two of them have emailed me and told me that they were SFA students that led these activities when they were attending school at SFA, and they're so excited to bring their current classes to the back to the events. So it's kind of a neat cycle. Dr. Sowards has had some of the teachers that came when he was leading the activities or leading the event. And then some of those teachers bringing their classes had attended college at SFA and participated in the event as a pre-service teacher, but some of them also came as children, as elementary school children. So we're starting to see some of those students now coming back and bringing their own classes to the event. So that's pretty neat. I set up a Qualtrics survey to register classes. There are other programs, 1, 2, 3, and other class things. I like the Qualtrics survey only because I'm used to it. And that I ask them which day they want to attend, what time session would they like to attend, what grade level of students are they bringing, how many students, that sort of thing. From the results of that, I can prepare the schedule. Like if I see we have too many classes trying to come at 9 o'clock, I go back and try and talk to the teachers and see if any of them can come to the 11:30 session instead of the 9 o'clock. I also prepare and distribute pre-visit packets. I'll show you a little bit of that later. And I help prepare resources needed by the pre-service teacher. So if they want a handout, I get the copies ready, that sort of thing. We also have lots of resources here at the gardens that we can help them get, like magnifying glasses and things like that, binoculars, things like that they want to use. And then I try to schedule some volunteers to help us set up the stations and take down the stations. And then I invoice the schools and or parents if homeschool families come. I host a separate event for homeschool students, but sometimes parents do like to bring their kids to the bugs, butterflies, and bugs, bees, butterflies, and blossoms event. And I just say that's fine, but I put their children in with regular classes that are coming. And then either I will or the professor usually distributes evaluations to the teachers to see what they liked, which activities they liked, and that sort of thing after the event. So we set it up in pods. We call these pods. So you see a red pod, a green pod, a blue pod, or a purple pod. So if you're teaching activity 1, that activity is the same whether you're working in pod red, the red pod, green pod, blue pod, purple pod. But this way, we're only teaching 4 activities. We only have to come up with 4 sets of, well, resources for 4 different activities, but we can host 16 classes as long as we have enough SFA students to host that many stations. So each of those numbered squares is an activity station. So a teacher will be assigned or told to you'll start at activity red station 3, and then they go on a clockwise rotation after that. I hope that makes sense. And maybe after you see the pre-visit packet, you'll see. But the number of stations that we can offer totally depends on how many SFA students are taking that science class at the time. So if we have 32 students taking it and available to work that session, we can have 16 stations. So you can't have like, say you had 12 classes, 14 classes. And so you thought, oh, okay, I'll just use red, green, and blue, and the first 2 stations in purple. Well, that won't work because those 4 classes are just going to see those first 2 stations over and over again. So sometimes, if possible, we can get an SFA student who's more confident to agree to host a station by themselves, or sometimes we can find a volunteer who will help an SFA student host a station so that we can bring more classes. But usually we try to have 2 SFA education majors at each station. So this is the top half of the first page of the pre-visit packet. So it tells the teacher, let's see if I can show that. Shows the teacher what time session they signed up for, the date, where we're having it, the teacher's name, the school name, and it tells them you will visit 4 activity stations. And this teacher is being told to start at purple station number 4, the name of the activities provided, and then what station they go to next. And then we also, below that, provide some instructions for the bus drivers, where they can park, where they need to drop off the students, and also some reminders for the teachers to remind the students to please wear closed-toed shoes, etc., dress for the weather, that sort of thing. And then second page normally describe the actual activities that will be hosted. And so back on the first page, it might have said red station 1 or station 1. And it doesn't matter whether it's at red pod, green pod, what pod it's in. Station 1, that activity is called We All Need Trees. And I just provide a little sentence describing what the students will be doing during that activity. We provide the TEKS. Project Learning Tree has now provided a table where you can just copy the TEKS right out of their table for all their activities. And I think Project Wild's working on that too, or has finished doing that. On some of our homegrown activities, I actually look them up and kind of copy this same format, but I usually only do science TEKS when I'm having to look them up for myself. We also try to provide some vocabulary words in case the teacher wants to get the students to kind of teach those vocabulary words in advance. And then finally, not finally, but one of the next page is we provide some information for the students themselves. And this is just, and actually we hope they take it home for their parents to look at. Kind of just tells them what we expect from them, where they're going, what they should expect when they get there. And it has a little bit more than what's showing here. And then the last page, we provide some post-visit activities. We suggest some that they could be that the teachers could use to kind of do that elaborate portion of the 5E lesson. So they can follow up with these things, these post-visit activities in the classroom to kind of bring home the concepts. So in the first 25 years, we have a lot of numbers. And so 1,780 SFA pre-service teachers, these are students majoring in education, have participated. Over 50,000 elementary school students have come in over 2,500 classes. So it is a real popular event. We have a lot of people come back every year, and they look forward to it. So you might be wondering, does it work? Well, Dr. Sowards and Dr. Boyette actually did a study. They looked at 105 of these pre-service students in 2016. So their sample size was 105. They gave them a pre-test about their knowledge about some of the topics they were going to teach that year. And the mean score was 74.02. And then they tested them again after they had done the event, and their score had gone up by 13 points. So we felt like, or they felt like the teachers, the future teachers gained a lot from participating. In addition, they were asked if they would use these activities that they were taught when they began teaching. And 81% said yes, absolutely, and 17% said yes, it is likely. So we feel like that they enjoyed doing the activities and that they definitely became more confident about doing outdoor activities by participating in this event. And now again, the first 25 years, a lot of these activities that they did, some of them were homegrown. I call them homegrown, SFA grown activities. And then as Texas Forestry Association has been involved since the very beginning, but more project learning tree activities are used in today's version of it. So in addition, Dr. Sowards and Dr. Boyette also did a study, and 3 East Texas schools participated. And there's a lot to do with the statistics, and I'm not familiar with education science statistics, but basically the experimental treatment was the BBBB event. And then they had a control group that did not attend the event. And so they looked at how well the treatment group did compared to the control groups. But even in the, so for the treatment group, they found that it was third grade classes, I believe, and they found that the students had a pre-test mean score of 48.7, and after the BBB event, they scored 65. So they definitely increased their knowledge, and they found no significant differences within the treatment group by gender or race. So all the students did well. And they also found that students scoring below the mean on the pre-test were able to really improve and close the gap between their scores and the higher scoring students on the post-test. And so this supports other research that indicates the benefits of field investigations for lower scoring children. So I can't talk about this event without talking about how much the collaboration makes this work. And that's why I want to encourage you, if you have a university that you can work with who have education majors, this might be something you could work with them on partnering. I know when I worked for the Texas Freshwater Fishery Center for a year or so. Um, they also cooperated with SFA and brought teachers, the education majors over, and they brought local third graders over for a wetlands activity day. So it is possible. And if you can find a university that has education majors who would like some experience doing some outdoor education, then hosting an event like this is really helpful, I think. In addition to these major collaborators, we also get some support from local groups, like when we have live bees at the event. The Piney Woods Beekeepers Association will bring over some portable hives for us to use. Keep Nacogdoches Beautiful has continued to help, and Nacogdoches Junior Forum and the Four Seasons Garden Club have all helped. They'll sometimes pay for t-shirts for the students to wear, the SFA students to wear when they're hosting, and to buy the Project Learning Tree curriculum books and various things like that. So it really does help to have a collaboration. Um, Doctors Boyette and Sowards have retired from actively participating. They get called it good at 25 years, but they are still in town and they're still great mentors if we need any assistance with continuing to organize the event. And I wanted to bring up that in addition to that event, we do a similar event also with the education majors for third through fifth graders that we call Wild About Science. We just haven't done it as many years as the Bugs, Bees, and Butterflies event. But again, we use the SFA education majors to host the activities, and we bring in the third through fifth graders from local schools. And then a new event we started last year is the Livestock Adventure Day. And this was kindergarten through second graders. And this time, the agriculture majors are the ones that actually hosted the activities. And they came up with their own activities with their professors. And boy, that was such a fun event for the kids. We're going to do that one again and another one like it, but for third through fifth graders, but they're going to have it out at the Ag Barn and probably go into more details on how agriculture products come from these wonderful animals. But in the K through second grade, they just enjoyed petting them. They had pigs, chickens, and cows for them. And that's all I have. If there's any questions.
Yeah, we've got some questions in the chat for you.
Okay. Should I stop sharing, do you
You,
think? Or
you can keep, that's a great picture. I think we can keep looking at the picture.
okay. All right.
We have one from Sarah Joes. Kay, does Wild About Science use Project Wild, or would you like to talk about a partnership if it doesn't?
So it's the same professor that I'm working with, and I will talk to her about it. I will just say Dr. Sowers is a very energetic person. He had the SFA students make their own resources. I mean, they had posters, they had puppets, they did all sorts of really cool things. And so he was much more energetic, made them do it 5 days in a row. And that's why they got 2,000 kids through there for the week. This professor is a little more easygoing, and she only requires them each student to participate one day, and we make the resources for them. And so I think she likes Project Learning Tree because they can get that certification in one day. Now, but you do bring up a good point. Maybe since we could do very similar, but with Project Wild, if they can get certified in Project Wild, I think she would be interested in doing that. She likes them to have that certification from.
Remember, Kay, you're a facilitator. You can make that happen in 6 hours.
Yes. Okay. Well, I will talk to her about
We
it.
can talk about it offline, but it was curious because it was called Wild. So I didn't, you had mentioned Project Wild a few times. So we don't need to take up a ton of time with this on that, but I was just curious, but separately, you and I can talk about that part.
Yeah. I think it's because Ted Stevens lives in Nacogdoches and works down the road in Lufkin, and he has been involved forever. So I think that's part of it. But I will talk to Dr. Hewlings and see if we can bring in some more Project Wild. We have brought in some SFA grown activities, but okay. I do Project Wild with the homeschool kids went on that day.
Great. Probably also Cheryl Boyette was married to the previous Project Learning Tree coordinator, John Boyette, before Ted
Yes,
was the
now you're
coordinator.
figuring out how connected we all are
Uh-huh.
here in East Texas.
But it's a great Project Learning Tree relationship. I wouldn't want to change that one, but you had a separate event. I was just curious.
Yes,
Thanks, Kay.
yes, okay,
Great. And then I have a few questions. Uh,
okay.
for specifically, I asked this question when you were talking about the main BBBB day, but I guess this would qualify for the others too. But are students able to spend time exploring the Arboretum and gardens before and after their activities, depending on what time their rotations are?
We don't stop them.
Okay.
Yes, they can. Normally, though, because of bus schedules, unfortunately, some of these, in East Texas, you can drive 60 miles in the same amount of time it might take you to get from North Austin to South Austin. So we get schools from 2 hours away, and they have to get those buses back to start taking children home. So a lot of them will, some of them will combine a trip to this event with maybe visiting the planetarium, or they'll bring lunches and go to one of our gardens and eat lunch at the gardens. And some just have to come, participate, load up, and go back. And I should mention a couple things, tips. If they're late, if a bus from a school district runs late, we had this happen one time where they actually asked the stations to do the activity they missed during our SFA students' 30-minute lunch break. So those poor students didn't get any lunch break from morning session to afternoon session because they were told to or they were asked by this class. So now we tell classes if they arrive 15 minutes late, okay, no, but you can join the rotation at the second rotation. The other thing to keep in mind is a lot of the private schools like Christian academies, homeschool groups, every single parent and sibling of the child you registered is going to come too. And that can affect parking at your side and things like that. So just keep those things in mind.
Great. And then I had a question about you had such really great stats with the before and after. Has that been published anywhere?
I believe they did, and I'm going to ask for it because I cannot find it in my files. I can find drafts and preliminary publications, but I have not found the actual publication. So that's a good reminder. They both still live here. So I will ask Dr. Sowards and Dr. Boyette for the publication.
Great.
And I
Yeah.
can share it with you, Sarah, and if you want, you can share it with others.
Definitely. In fact, I was on a call this morning specifically about Project Learning Tree, and folks were asking about before and after for
Oh.
the training. And I was like, I'm sure it's out there. I just have to find it. And then you gave it to me today. So that was perfect.
Now, I have to say, those students get a little more training in their classroom in addition to what we do at
Right.
our site. So,
Yeah.
they're already pre-trained, which is another good thing about having education majors. They've already had classes on classroom management, that sort of thing. So I have learned a lot from them. So you got these 20 kids, you're getting them on a tarp and you're about ready to start and they're kind of getting distracted. They see some bird or a squirrel or something, they're getting distracted. So we have a different teachers use different things, but here we go. When I say axum, you say jacks. When I say axum, you say, and then because that's the SFA thing. So anyway, that works really well to kind of bring them back when they've gotten kind of distracted.
Well, and Sarah found the study for us.
Oh,
Um,
she did?
she did.
Oh, I'm gonna have to open the chat.
Um, those are all of my questions. Does anyone else have any other questions for the group? And feel free, we're a small enough group if you want to come off mute and just ask a question, we can do that as well.
And you can also email me if you want like a copy of our pre-visit packet or, my schedule that I build and that sort of thing. I tell you, when I first got this job in February 2007, the very next day, Dr. Soward said, okay, we're having a planning meeting for BBBB 25th year. And I went, oh my gosh. And it just seemed so overwhelming, the logistics of at that time, we had it at one of our other gardens, the Mast Arboretum. We had to rent porta cans and you set up little tent canopies and all this. We tend to have it at the Piney Woods Native Plant Center now, where we have some public bathrooms, and that does help because they're going to be here 2 hours and they've probably traveled an hour and a half.
Yeah, bathrooms are a necessity.
Yes.
Um, I did put in the chat our evaluation. So a lot of us on this call are educators, so we understand the need for evaluation. So you could take a moment to fill that out. And then our next webinar is why we need neurodiverse environmentalists. And so please take a chance to register for that. This is all biding time for people to ask questions. And then lastly, summit registration is open. So if you would like to register, our summit this year is in Bryan College Station. So we are going to be um, in kind of the between Houston and Waco. So we're excited to be there. And no other questions coming in. We have a few
I
thank you.
have one.
Oh, please, Sarah.
Kay, you mentioned invoicing. What do y'all charge? Just for anybody else who's thinking about doing this, what are y'all charging school groups to come to this event?
It's $5 per student.
Okay, great, thanks.
No charge for teachers or adults. We do, this is another tip. We do require the primary teacher to come and to bring another adult if they can. We want this to be a good experience for the SFA students because we do want them to educate students in the outdoors in the future. So we want it to be a really positive experience for our SFA students. And so we've had an event in the past where like 5 or 6 teachers decided to take the day off and send a substitute. Well, the trouble with substitutes is they don't know those children's names. And our students are hosting an activity, and if some of the kids get distracted and not paying attention. That we don't, if they don't have the primary teacher there, then it can be a problem. And I've also seen, but not at our events, but when I worked at Texas Freshwater Fishery Center, um, I saw teachers standing in the back all on their phones, and that was I couldn't believe that. But we haven't had that experience. The teachers that come with the classes to our events have been very involved. If nothing else, just pointing at a student, kind of getting their attention and telling them to turn around and face the front and stuff like that. So that's it's so now I put it in the pre-visit packet and in the registration form that the primary teacher is required to attend or send an assistant principal or principal in their place. That usually gets their attention.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm looking for the link in the
Yes, it is celebrating 20 years of outdoor environmental education for pre-service teachers. Journal of Forestry.
Oh, I'm not seeing it in the, did she just send it to you or to everybody?
I'm not sure. If it was just to me, I can make sure it's I can email it to you. Um,
Okay.
and then
But
we
that
do,
sounds right, because I do know that they did a 20-year report. Yes.
and then we do also have a question from Rachel asking if you would be willing to share the slides.
Sure. Can it be
And
just a PDF of the slide? Some of these
yes,
pictures are
that'd be
big.
great.
Okay.
And then we have a few thank yous from Emily. We have thank you, Kay. This was great. Amy says this makes me wish I lived closer to SFA. Then Cynthia says this has been an amazing presentation, creative, innovative, and implementable ideas and projects. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank y'all.
Um, Lynn says thank you so much for the informative talk, and Rachel is thank you, great presentation and program information.
Thank you.
So
All right.
thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday.
Okay.
And Cynthia, Kay, I'll email you that link in just a second.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.